Is there any wiggle room in the science itself? Are there acknowledged research gaps or questions that give these arguments some traction? Or is it purely ideological?
This is where it gets, well, complicated. Because the answer is kind of yes and no. The sources do acknowledge that some systematic reviews have cited the lack of high-quality research for the benefits and risks of water fluoridation and questions that are still unsettled.
Ah, so even proponents admit the research isn't perfect. They admit that the quality of some of the older studies, maybe decades ago, isn't always up to today's really rigorous standards. There might be methodological weaknesses in some of the evidence base, even if the overall conclusion from the whole body of evidence seems clear to the mainstream.
And that creates an opening for critics.
It does. It leaves room for legitimate scientific questions about the exact size of the benefit under modern conditions or the full range of potential effects at different doses. John Dole, who chaired a big National Research Council report on fluoride back in 2006, put it really well.
What did he say?
He basically said, look, the scientific community mostly thinks this is settled. Surgeon General calls it a top 10 achievement, right? Hard to argue with that. But Dole said when his committee actually looked closely at all the studies, they found many questions were not settled. They had less information than they ideally should, given how long fluoridation has been going on.
So genuine scientific uncertainty on some points.
Right. And Dole concluded, in the face of ignorance, controversy is rampant. That ignorance, those gaps in perfect knowledge, gets exploited. Opponents use the lack of 100% certainty on every single detail to challenge the whole practice, even when the bulk of evidence points one way. It shows how uncertainty can fuel controversy.
So even with a strong consensus, those research gaps keep the door open for debate. Can you give some specific examples of the claims made by critics? You mentioned Dr. Hardy Lineback earlier. What kind of points does he make?
Sure. Dr. Lineback, he's a biochemist, used to head preventative dentistry at University of Toronto. He's a prominent voice against fluoridation. He specifically questions if zero point 0.7 ppm is even effective, especially if the source water already has some natural fluoride. He's argued there hasn't been a single proper double-blind study proving it works at any level.
That's a strong claim denying any benefit from ingesting it.
It is. He flat out says no benefit to ingest fluoride. Nada. Nothing. Zilch. That directly contradicts the mainstream view about systemic benefits.
And what about harms?